timing of that sequence that creates the perpetuation of energy that flows through and into the target. If those sequence of events happen at the same time, there's no transference of energy, there's no perpetuation through. Okay? So I always say it's like a line of dominoes. If you stack a line of dominoes, you'll keep the first one, the first knocks the second knocks the third knocks the fourth knocks the fifth, and you get this transference of energy from the first tap that you give the first domino all the way through the line to the end. Okay, so you get that sequence of energy going through, so it travels, right? As opposed to kind of hitting the first one, and then there's such a gap between the first and the second. The first falls over and doesn't even hit the second. Okay, and the energy stops. So when you're striking, it's about movement of energy and making sure that when you shift one thing, it has a knock-on effect to the next, and a knock-on effect to the next, and you have this kind of first one. And I don't need to practice hitting too hard with this, because a lot of people they'll do body dynamics and they'll work on trying to hit harder and harder and harder, but what they're actually doing is masking a lot of the body dynamics from just muscular contraction and effort. So I want you to strip all that down and take it all away, so that all you've got is kind of body dynamics, and you just playing with those and just seeing what the effects are. Okay? So the first one I want to look at is just movement of the feet and how this is working. Okay? Because your feet are connected to the ground, that's where everything starts from. Right? So what I want you to practice doing is loading up the back leg and then pressing off it so that your weight goes into your front leg. Simple as that. Alright? So rather than just rotating on this single axis, what I'm doing is I'm now transferring my body between the front and the back leg. Okay? Now, where a lot of people make mistakes here is when the body weight transfers onto the front leg, what will happen is they'll tense up this front leg, and the reactive force will be that they'll keep out of it. Right? When you press off the front leg, you're actually taking yourself away from the shot, and you're not helping, or you're not using gravity to help you out. Okay? So when you shift over here, what I want to happen is for this to relax. Okay? If I hold myself on this leg, and I'll try and do this so you can see. I'm not pushing very hard, right? But I'm holding actively on this leg. Okay? Now watch. If I then transfer my weight and let this leg go, see the difference? And I'm not trying any harder. All I'm doing is rather than using the floor for support, I'm using joint for support. Okay, so joint is now my support. Watch. All I'm doing is I'm not supporting myself in this leg anymore. And the weight's just going to go through. It's bound, it's got to. So it changes from supporting here to supporting here. So as we transfer the weight over, just before we make, I'm not even moving my hips yet, just before we make contact, I just want you to release that leg. I'm trying to do a big sweep, say. So here, supporting. So just transfer my weight back to front, back to front. Think about it as being like kind of a circle almost. And as you go down this part of the circle, that's when you forget about the leg. So all the energy goes in, and then, yeah, so it doesn't want to feel like it's going up. It wants to feel like it's sinking down. And try and feel technique in the floor. All this you do is transfer energy. Okay? It's what's happening down here that's important. Okay? Then, from here now, I want you to think about the hip. Just relax. I don't even want you to try and punch it back. I just want you to keep it in the pad for now. Okay? transfer my weight on my back leg. This is still in contact. It's my hip that drags this arm off. Okay? So rather than pulling your hand away and then your hip back, let the hip drag the hand off. Then as the hand comes back, as it's still moving back, I'm starting to transfer my weight over to my front leg. As this is still coming back. Okay? Then I post on this leg, turn my hip over. This is still kind of right at the rear end now, so I'm building up this recoil. And then the fish will go in. So I'm moving. You see how everything's delayed? So I'm not doing everything together, like this. The problem with doing everything together is you need distance. A lot of it. Okay? So to make that more power, I have to go further. And further. Further. Okay? With sequential delay, you don't need the distance. Because the distance happens inside. It's not external. Okay? If everything moves together, you've got nothing to sequence. If you start sequencing, everything's happening inside the body. So the distance is occurring. Does that make sense? Inside. So you don't need as much distance. If you can get the sequence of events happening at the right time, you increase your power. Okay? But of course, if you're not even on those sort of dynamics and you're just working on brute strength and just throwing your arms in, then yes, of course, the more distance, the more power. Does it make sense? You know, if I'm going to throw my hand in to him, just my hand, the more distance I've got to throw it in with, the more I'm going to get at the end. Okay? But with this type of power, you don't need the distance. And that's why it's really key in karate, because karate is all about close range fighting. You haven't got the distance to play with. Alright? So when I'm here, I want to think about the sequence, right? I'm not really trying that hard, yeah? But can see what's happening in the body. I'm not pushing him back. I don't want to go. Yeah, it looks great, but you know, it's a push. It's not a strike. I want his body to shake with the shot. Okay. And then you just relax, everything's relaxed. And then the moment of impact, there's a slight tension to stabilise everything. But this is important, is pull. Then the punch already happened, but the shot's already gone before the hand's even landed. Okay? And you don't need that much power. And I'm not dropping this hip back, watch this is drop. This is going back. Yeah. I'll be pushing up onto this side. Yeah. So then I get the power through. Alright. And again I'm not giving it big wellies. Okay. I just want to keep it nice and loose. Because let's face it, when you need it, you're not here. You know. With hardly any distance, but you need to be heavy, doesn't it? Yeah, you feel inside, yeah, it's not nice, right? So by having the pad this big, if I go try and get inside and there, push it through. If that pad wasn't there, you know, look, if I go through the pad and get into the back of him, I want to get him inside, in the middle. So I'm aiming kind of in here. That's why it's getting shot, but it's not kind of throwing back too much. Because I'm handling it this way. Take the pad away and put the same distance in. And then you see the difference. Okay. So here, just working in. Relax. Watch the body. Alright, so this. When he goes back, So when he's stood like this and hit him and he goes back, some of that energy is absorbed. When he takes a step back, it's locked in. A lot more energy goes in, doesn't it? Alright? So that's what I'm saying. It's not about moving your opponent backwards. It's about causing that reaction. That, oh, reaction. Okay? And you don't need that much distance to do it. Okay, so you've got to try and get out your head this idea of more is better, okay, externally, because that's not always the case, right? Of course, if you haven't got these body dynamics on top, more has always got to be better, because that's all you've got. Does that make sense? So if I'm just throwing massive, swinging John Wayne hooks, you can't use it for this sort of thing, Of course, more is better. I'm bound to get more power with the more distance that I've got and the more swing that I've got. Okay, but obviously in karate, it's about civilian self-protection, and that often means that you could be striking someone at that distance, like this. So how do you get the power in that distance? Well, you have to create the power inside more. So this sequence of events doesn't happen externally, it happens more internally. Do well with this, just leave it alone, it's fine. Okay. On this pendulum swing forward. Does that make sense? So you're already there, you're ready to go. Once you start swinging, you know you're there. Okay. Sleep. Okay. Alright. Okay. Send dynamics. Yeah? So you see how useful it is if I'm here. 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 Transfer. You see how you don't need the distance to do it. Okay, I could be here and I'm only on that, but I'm making up for it in here. I've got 6 foot of distance. He just thinks it's a few inches. Okay, and all your basic techniques in karate have that, albeit have it very gross, right? So when you see it like gap position, you step in, you transfer into the weight. Okay? The hip, the drive, the third. So the techniques, if you do them properly, have the perpetuation energy from the floor all the way up into the hand and out. Okay? In reality, I've got to get my body behind it. I've got to put the juice behind these shots. Okay? Out there, I've got to do it. I get killed if I don't. I get beat up if I don't. I get mugged if I don't. So I'm not even bothered if he's ragging the hell out of my ribs. As long as I'm going to crack him and knock him out with one shot. That's my prime objective.